another episode of Sports Talk Radio. Let's keep it real. This is where it's 100% facts, 0% feelings. So here we are. Dan Mullen made another week. Some people are calling for his head. Some people aren't. It's pretty split in Gator country. But this episode, we're going to discuss pretty much his next major move, man. His make or break move. Honestly, I think everyone can agree that this hire for defensive coordinator is going to be his most important decision for his coaching career at Florida. So we're going to discuss who I think has a good shot, has a good chance, maybe a good fit, some realistic choices. And then we're going to talk about some choices that just aren't going to happen. So let's get into it, man. First, I ask you guys to like, comment, subscribe. Make some comments of who you guys think should be the next defensive coordinator. Who's not on the list that you think should be there, who shouldn't be there. Just let me know so we can engage and have that discussion. But first off, let's talk about who's not going to be there. Will Muschamp will not be a coach for the Gators. It's not happening. we can let that go. He had his time at Florida. Great defenses, bad records. He's not coming back, man. Gator country ran him off. It just wasn't a successful stint. He's not coming back to be the defensive coordinator. He is at University of Georgia with his buddy, his pal, Kirby Smart, in case you didn't know. He's not leaving. That's his buddy. That's his guy. I believe they were on the same staff for Alabama, I believe. He's not going anywhere. We are not getting Randy Shannon. It's not happening. It's just not. We let that go. Randy Shannon probably will never be back on a Florida Gator t-shirt with a headset calling plays ever. Not happening. Let it go. Ed O. He's not coming to Florida. Let it go. He's not coming to coach D-line. He's not coming to be a coordinator. He's just not coming to the University of Florida. There's zero reason for him to come here when he was at LSU and he was dominating LSU was dominating Florida while he was there. There's no point. Why would he come to be a position coach or possibly a coordinator for a guy that pretty much he beat up on for 3 or 4 years? It's not happening. The next, Dan Quinn. Come on, people. He's the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. A successful defense. Why would he leave the NFL to come coach at Florida? It makes zero sense. He's making way more money than he would ever make at Florida as a defensive coordinator. He doesn't have to deal with recruiting. He doesn't deal with parents. He doesn't have to deal with a fan base like this. It's not happening. It's just not happening. Another guy that we will not be getting, Dan Lanning, is not coming to Florida at all. This man is pretty much going to have a pick of where he wants to go. He may stay at UGA to wait for his, premier destination where he goes. He may go to USC. He may go to TCU. He can literally go anywhere. He may go to LSU. He can go anywhere he wants to. He's the defensive coordinator of the number one defense in America. No point of him coming to Florida. It's not happening. No way, no how. Let's see who else. So you got Randy Shannon, Muschamp, Travaris Robinson not coming. Who else? Like, it's the names that people have been popping up with just makes no sense. They're not coming. Those names will absolutely not be coaches at the University of Florida as a defensive coordinator. But the good news is we have a shot at a few guys. Now, these are guys that I think realistically have a shot at becoming a coordinator, defensive coordinator at the University of Florida. I think they all pose some pluses and minuses as far as the potential of what they bring, but they all bring one thing. They all bring good coaching. All of these coaches that's on this list can coach. All their defenses are top performing defenses. They're all at schools to where, you know, they could potentially come, or in a position to where they can potentially come. First, start with the old man of the bunch, Randy Bates. He's the Pittsburgh defensive coordinator. Currently, Pittsburgh is ranked 37 in the nation in team defense. Currently, right now, Florida's ranked at 43. So that's the minus. Is he a good coordinator? Absolutely. You do some Google searches, you'll see he won an award as the top assistant coach by American Football Coach Association. Um, his team ranked first in sacks in 2019, 12th in rushing, 15th in total defense. Uh, they collected 97 sacks between 2019 2020 season, the highest in the nation. They get after the quarterback. His teams get after the quarterback. Uh, this past season, led the country again with total sacks and tackles for loss. He gets it done, ranking third in rushing defense, something that Florida has been bad with rushing defense for a very long time. Very long time. Could he do it? I think so. Now, will he move? Who knows? But he's at Pitt. Pitt, ACC. Moving to Florida would be an upgrade for him. But like I said, he's older. Who knows if he's really looking to move up? He may just be comfortable where he's at. So you never know. The next one I have is Doug Belk, Houston defensive coordinator. He was a defensive back coach at Bama during their run. He coached up a lot of the big name guys that are in the league now. He's a great recruiter. He's a Saban disciple. Um, the only thing that gets me a little nervous is his trajectory. Personally, I don't see him being a defensive coordinator for a very long time. Um, I see him maybe 2, maybe 3 years before he may try to get a head coaching position. Um, so for me, it's like, the immediate impact, great. He's going to get recruits. He's going to kill it there. He'll turn the defense around. But, we'll be looking for another defensive coordinator in the next 2 or 3 years. You know, um, his coaching experience, he started off at Valdosta State, was a grad assistant at Bama, coached cornerbacks at West Virginia for a year, and then was, Houston co-defensive coordinator and, you know, coach safeties in 2019, 2020. So, I mean, he doesn't have a large coaching background, but, he spent 2 years under Saban as their DB coach. You know, hey, you can't really say too many bad things about him, man. Uh, he coached some big name guys, big name guys. And like I said again, he's under Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, the guys. They get it done. He coached Landon Collins. Who else did he coach? Marlon Humphrey. I mean, the names say it all. Then we have Marquand Manuel, who currently is a coach with uh, the New York Jets, defensive backs coach. He's a Florida guy, played at Florida, from Miami, 9 years coaching experience. He has ties to the state of Florida. Can't go wrong. Locking down, he definitely would help lock down Florida. But again, he's in the NFL. He bounced around a bit in the NFL. Currently he's with the Jets. They're struggling. But before that, he was with the Eagles. Um, and I believe he was with the Eagles for a year as a defensive back coach. They didn't do so great, but he was with Atlanta before that for 4 years. They had a pretty good defense. He was there with Deion Jones, Keanu Neal, got him to the Pro Bowl, and he was a coach, a position coach with the Seattle Seahawks with the Legion of Boom. So I mean, hey, he wasn't the main guy, but he definitely was in that. He was a defensive assistant. So uh, with the secondary. So he has some coaching experience. Like I said, I think he would be a good fit uh, for the recruiting, for the coaching, the knowledge. He's still fairly young. He may be there for a few years. Like he may, ride 4 or 5 years, you know, in the position, which is something that Florida needs. Florida needs somebody that's going to be there for the long run. My favorite pick is the next guy, Glenn Schumann. If you know who Glenn Schumann is the co-defensive coordinator for UGA. So he shares responsibility with Dan Lanning. But Dan Lanning is the one that gets the attention, the press. But Glenn Schumann, right there. He is UGA's, I believe, his top recruiter. I mean, he got Nolan Smith, Richard LeCount, Xavier Sorey, Quay Walker, Ryan Davis, um, the guy he gets them on campus, man. And those are guys whose names are ringing bells everywhere. So, with a guy like him on our team as a defensive coordinator, one, you're going to get that energy. He's an energetic guy. He's a young guy. He's recruiting top notch. And he's a linebacker coach. We we need linebackers at the University of Florida. We need true linebackers. And yeah, man, this guy does it all. But another thing, he's young, he's up and coming. Will he stay for the long haul? I don't expect him. I wouldn't expect him to stay on any staff longer than maybe 3 4 years as a coordinator before making that jump. I mean, he's the next guy. So with UGA, a few things can happen with Glenn Schumann. One, Dan Lanning can get a job as a head coach and bring Glenn Schumann to be his defensive coordinator. That can 100% happen. Wouldn't be surprised if it did. Because if Dan Lanning leaves, Will Muschamp most likely will be the defensive coordinator for UGA. Most likely. I mean, it makes sense. I would keep Muschamp over anybody as a defensive coordinator. So I could see that happening. Or Dan Lanning leave, they promote Schumann as the co-defensive coordinator with Muschamp, so he can learn under Muschamp. If that happens, that's very realistic. So there's some roads to cross before we get in Glenn Schumann, but I think it's worth it. I mean, just reading up on the guy, he went to the University of Alabama, literally, to be a undergrad analyst for Saban to learn and coach. He went to school for that. He went to the University of Alabama in 2008, literally to learn from him. So he spent 3 years as an undergrad analyst, graduated, became a grad assistant for 3 more years under Saban. After that, 2014, he was named Director of Player Personnel and Associate Director of Player Personnel. And then after there, he went to UGA under Kirby. I mean, the guy literally learned everything from defense from to great defensive minds. So he knows his X's and O's. He knows how to recruit. He's a South Georgia guy, so he's got um, the Georgia recruiting on lock. He has some Florida on lock. I mean, at this point, he can get guys from probably all across the country. So let's talk about this question mark in this box. Wild card. Who could it be? Personally, I think we may have our next defensive coordinator already on staff. C Rob. Hear me out. Hear me out. Some people are probably ready to hit the X button. Hear me out. Christian Robinson doesn't have as much experience as a Schumann or Randy Bates or Doug Belk or Marquand Randall. I mean Manuel. But what he does have as relationships with the players. He has upside. He has knowledge of a Grantham system. Now, mind you, Grantham system probably not the best, but it was more of his schemes because when he would call simple plays, the defense responded, played pretty good. It's just when he started switching people around, calling exotic blitzes, doing things like that, that made the defense look way worse than what it is. So, C Rob has 3 games left to show what he can do. Personally, I would have liked Grantham gone after the LSU game. Then you would have given C Rob 4 games as a defensive coordinator with that bye week to really install things that he wants to do. Um, People say that he's a disciple of Grantham simply because he was under him. Well, yes, he was a disciple of Grantham. However, there are alleged reports that he wanted to use the linebackers totally different than Grantham wanted to. He wanted the defense to be totally different than Grantham wanted it to be. But Grantham refused to listen to him. He wrote him off, ignored him, stuck in his ways, did what he wanted to do. So that's a good thing. I mean, he was part of a good defense at Mississippi State, and they got to #1 in the country. He was part of the defense when, at Florida, Jonathan Grenard and Zuniga and everybody was going full tilt. So maybe he's the answer. He's going to be a lot cheaper than any other option. So that may open up some room to bring in another coach, maybe on the field. Maybe bring in an offensive coordinator to help Mullen. Bring in an upgrade to the defensive line, which we'll get to in a second. Maybe bring in another linebacker coach to where they can focus on inside versus outside, and things like that all the other schools have, but for some reason we don't. So C Rob may actually be the answer. The guys love him. Will they respond to him for these next 3 weeks? We'll see. Because it's not going to be a cakewalk. Sanford may be a cakewalk, but Missouri, not a cakewalk. Florida State, not necessarily a cakewalk. They took Notre Dame to the end. They took Notre Dame to the end, took Clemson to the end. They're not a bad team per se. No worse than us. So I don't think it's going to be necessarily a blowout. But if C Rob can get these guys, get the energy up, get some turnovers, get some excitement, maybe worth keeping. Maybe worth it. I like it personally. But I mean, give me Glenn Schumann first. But if he's not available, C Rob, you got to keep him on staff. Even if you don't keep him as your defensive coordinator, you got to keep C Rob on the staff. He's the best recruiter we have. He's young, energetic, fits the bill. We didn't give him a raise to keep him from Michigan for no reason. So hopefully we keep him around. Now, my perfect solution to the defense would be Schumann as defensive coordinator. We keep Robinson as the linebacker coach, maybe coach outside linebackers. Schumann is the defensive coordinator. He can coach inside linebackers and go from there. Robinson can still learn under Schumann, bounce off each other. The defensive back coaches, I'm pretty good with them. McGriff, he's a good coach. Uh, so I don't think there's an issue there. I would like to see a defensive line upgrade. So if Schumann came in and wanted to bring in a coach, maybe a defensive line coach, I think that hey, that's something that you would give, a little compromise, to where he can bring in one or two of his guys. We give up one or two of our guys. I think it's worth it. Because Turner has to go. I think he'll be another name that's cut off. Personally, there's a coach and Mr. Vincent Reynolds. He is the defensive line coach at Syracuse. Now, before you laugh, Syracuse is number 14 in the nation in top defenses. They're number 14. If we had a 14 ranked defense, we'd probably be undefeated right now. So that's something to definitely take a look at. His defense, he called him the Trenchmen. His defensive line, usually leading the nation in sacks, top 3. Turnover gains, sacks, 6. Fumbles recovered, 5th. Scoring defense, they get the ball. Now, I've watched some of his coaching even before this whole thing happened with the defensive coordinator. I've been following his coaching for a while. The guy is very smart. He's a young guy as well. So at Syracuse, we could take him from Syracuse. I definitely feel like we could take him from Syracuse, get him in that Florida sun, change the color of that blue, keep the orange. I think it's a good move. So hopefully Dan Mullen and the boosters are listening. Go get Vincent Reynolds, and he can recruit. So if we get Vincent Reynolds on the defensive line, Schumann as the defensive coordinator, C-Rob linebackers, man, there goes some recruits right there. It's a whole lot of blue chip potential. Because Coach Molinar, Coach Griff, I think they'll hold their own. But it's potential. It's potential out there, man. So we'll see what goes on. We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see how we finish the season. But anyway, man, appreciate y'all hanging out with me for this installment of the defensive coordinators. Next episode, we'll probably go over some line coaches to see who will be a good offensive line replacement. There's a couple names out there that I think would be great fits for his style offense and just for the tenacity that the offensive line needs. Then after that, we'll probably get into some recruiting thing as we start to wind down, getting closer to early signing. We love to talk about recruiting with the University of Florida. But anyway, again, like, comment, subscribe. We keep it real. Sports talk, 100% facts, 0% feelings. We out.